Hey guys, a little update here on the shocks for the front suspension kit for the 1/28 scale associated cars. When I first started designing the kit, I was basing it off the shocks that came on my RC28 that I bought when the car was first released. And before I bought that car, I had one of the cars made by Exceed that again is basically the exact same car. Associated rebranded it. So when the early cars came out, they had shocks on them that looked like this. So it's probably hard to see on the video, but the hole goes all the way through, but the hole is kind of has a ball shape on the inside. You can see it's smaller on this side than the opening is on that side, if you look really carefully. And that actually would snap on to the little ball joint on the back rear suspension of the car on both the top and the bottom. And so what I found out recently is when I ordered a set of replacement shocks is that Associated has made some changes to the shocks now. I don't know why. I've never had a pair of these shocks pop off the car in the past, but for whatever reason, what they did was they went to a complete ball on the end of these shocks. And so of course this doesn't work with the kit that I came out with, because the way that the mounting takes place is we've got screws that go all the way through the shocks, which worked great for the at least the earlier shocks. So with the later shocks, you can modify these pretty easily to where they'll work with the kit. So what you can do is you can take a 95, or actually it's 96 thousandths drill. And what you want to do is you want to just carefully drill through the open side of this ball all the way through to the back. And you want to do that on both the top and the bottom of it. And so then what you want to do is you want to actually take and you want to get rid of the back half of this ball. And so by that, what I mean, if I can get this to focus, there we go. You want to get rid of, oops, you want to get rid of this part of the ball here, the rounded part. So I found that easiest to do with a Dremel tool. Using a sanding disc like this, you can very carefully go in and kind of remove that back. And then what you're left with is like this pair here that I modified. Is it pretty much looks like the original shock, where you can see it's now has a shape a lot like the original one, and there's a through hole that goes through. Now the one issue is that the through hole that goes through these ends up being a lot bigger than it was on the original shocks. Okay, so if anyone is going to use the newer shocks that have the ball type mount and then modify them, what I'll do if they buy the hardware kit for me is I've got special little collars, like I mentioned, are used on the kit that are made specifically for modified shocks that start with the ball cup. And so they've got actually a bigger diameter sleeve on them that'll fit in this, so the shock isn't loose on the screw. So that'll take care of that. You know, if you're not worried about doing a little dremeling, you have a Dremel tool and some drills, you can pretty easily modify a pair of the Associated shocks. Again, I'm talking about the newer ones that come with the ball type cup on top and bottom. So you can go ahead and modify those pretty easily to look like this. The other option I thought of is if you do have an older Exceed or Associated car that has the shocks that look like the original ones, again, these are the ones that look like this, on the back of the car, you can buy the replacement shocks that, again, I think are from now on going to have the ball on them from Associated. You can put the ball style ones on the back of the car, and then you can take the ones off the back that look like this, again, if you have an older car, and use those on the kit on the front, and then they'll work perfectly, and I'll supply the little collars that are made for this size opening. Okay, so you know, this all started seeming kind of complicated to me, so finally I said screw it, let me just design my own shock and include it with the kit. So I have one more little change to make, and then I'll release these on Shapeways. But what I've done is I've actually designed my own version of the shocks, and you can see I added them on the parts tree here so that after I make one more tiny change on these, I'll release these for sale. And then when you buy the parts tree, it'll come like this with the shocks included. I should mention that because the tolerance on these shocks needs to be kind of tight for them to work properly, you'll need to do a little filing on these shafts just to get them to operate real smooth. Ream the holes out on the bores with the drill. I'll go through how to do that once I release this. Pretty easy stuff though, you know, nothing I don't think any of you can't handle. And then basically what you're left with is what's shown on this side here is one of my shocks. This is the first one that I had made, or the first pair that I have made. There's only one on here. So you can see on this side is my shock, like I showed what came here. And then on the right, or on this side here, is one of the original ones that came with the older associated cars. So again, you know, either one's fine. I'm just trying to make things kind of easy for people, give them some options depending on, you know, how big of a hurry they're in. If somebody's not in a very big hurry, they can wait for this one. And then basically what I can do is I can supply a set of springs that'll look like this with your hardware kit. So then if you buy the hardware kit, that again is going to have all the screws and little collars that you need here, what I'll do is I'll put the springs in it. If you let me know that you're ordering one of these kits here, I'll probably charge a couple bucks more just to cover the cost of the springs, but it won't be bad. I'll try and actually make it cheaper than if you were to buy a new set of shocks from Associated. I think that set is about 13 bucks. So whatever price increase I have on this kit that includes the shocks, and then the increase in the hardware kit for including the springs, I'll keep it less than what Associated would cost you to buy their shocks and springs that you then also have to modify. The other thing that I did, since I was designing these from the ground up, is I got rid of the need for the little collar on the bottom, which if you looked at the assembly instruction videos, I sort of say is one of the hardest parts. So since I designed my own, I just designed the bottom of the shock to not need a collar, so it rides right on the screw. The top still does use a collar, and as I explained in the video before, the reason for the collar on top is it gives you something to tighten the nut against, and it allows the shock also to kind of float around a little bit here on top, but still not have any play in it. So there's some updates for you guys. I think I still owe you the final installation video, which actually shows taking this unit here that's been assembled and putting it on the car. So I'll try and get to that one soon. And then, like I said, I'll have another video when I release the updated kit, or the optional kit that'll have the shocks available on it, and go through the additional steps you'll need to do to get those shocks working nicely with the kit. So for that's it for now. And so look for another video soon showing how to put this on the car, and then there'll be a fourth video updating when I release the kit that has the shocks included. Thanks.